Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on adding tests. This is Dawn Montgomery with the CASAS Technology Support Team, and I will be presenting today's workshop. This workshop focuses on using CASAS eTests Online together with TOPS Pro Enterprise Online to manually add and import test records in your online database. This function is available with both basic and enhanced access. In other words, a TE license or collective agreement with CASAS is not required. This is one of 23 complimentary CASAS Online Implementation Basics workshops. We highly recommend attending as many workshops possible to learn about best practices and ask questions to become confident in using the online system. Online help is available on our website from training and support, eTest Online, and TOPS Pro Enterprise. You will want to be sure and bookmark these as your electronic go-to resources. Electronic resources are updated periodically, so going to them will help to ensure you are receiving the most current information. Today's workshop comes from eTest Online Help in the eTest Online User Guide. This guide has hyperlinks throughout to help you move quickly between sections, such as Section 8.9 on adding tests. Again, you will want to bookmark electronic resources and search keywords to pinpoint specific information when you need help. Before we get started, I want to point out where you will find access to CASAS eTest Online and TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. Notice the URLs I just pasted in the chat box. This is the main domain name address you will use when your agency is set up with an online database. This is commonly referred to as the production server, where live data is produced. For today's workshop, we will be using a simulation server for a fictional school called Rolling Hills Adult School. This simulation server is populated with fictional data to give you a realistic training experience. This is available to anyone wanting to experiment and explore our online system without risk of compromising live data. You will find information on how to access this simulation server on our website from training and support, eTest Online Help, Getting Started, and download the simulation server document. The CASAS Online system offers 3 methods for adding test records to your online database to prepare for web-based testing: manual data entry, scanning, or importing test results in TE from a third-party system or fillable import template. And of course, test results are automatically added to your online database through live testing with eTests. For this workshop, we will focus on manual data entry and importing through TOPS Pro Enterprise. To access TOPS Pro Enterprise for the first time on a local computer, click the TE Client or Install link at top left of the browser window. A client application will install. The client application will install on the local computer to connect with the online server. A shortcut icon is automatically placed on the computer desktop. If you are a user who will access TE frequently, you may want to pin the shortcut to your taskbar along the bottom of your computer monitor for quick access when other applications are open on your screen. TE opens to a login screen similar to eTests, except that you need to specify the server from the drop-down menu. We will be connecting to the simulation server. The simulation server has generic accounts for administrator, coordinator, proctor, and teacher login so that you may experience different types of user access. Coordinators and proctors do not automatically have access to TE. Access to TE may be granted by the agency to anyone with or without coordinator or proctor certification. Users enter login credentials the same as when accessing CASAS eTests. Because eTests and TE, with both eTests and TE, there is only one database shared between both applications. After entering login credentials, such as for an administrator, click Connect to establish connection to your online database. TE opens to an empty screen. All data and reports are displayed from accessing menus along the top left. At top right, displays the logged on user, application version, and general screen controls. All user activity is tracked and recorded in the online system, so it is important not to share login credentials. If you attended the previous workshop on adding students, you learned that the student demographics record is the parent record, that test records and that test records are child records linked by the student's unique ID. New test records are manually added in TOPS Pro Enterprise. The recommended approach when manually adding a record for a specific student is from the student demographics record. From the Records menu, select Students and then click Demographics. By default, the Demographics lister opens to display a list of students with activity in the current program year, as preset by the filter. To add a test record for a specific student, click the filter icon in the student ID or any name column. For example, let's enter an ID for the new student record that we added in yesterday's workshop. And click OK. Double-click to open the student demographics record. The demographics record opens to a split screen with the navigator at the left and student information at the right. Use the navigator at left from the demographics record and click Tests. A new window opens at the right to input test information. Click New. Test information is input in 3 distinct sections: student and program year, assessment info, and assessment items. Because we are adding a child record for the student in the navigator of the student demographics record, site, program year, and student information fields auto-populate. This helps to minimize data entry errors. Click the drop-down arrow in the assessment date field and select the date from the drop-down calendar for when the test was administered. For assessment information, click the form field, drop-down menu arrow, and select the test form using either type to search or select from the lister. All possible matches automatically display. Select the match for the test record. Class information is optional unless required by your state. Click Score Override and enter the raw score. When the record is saved, the scale score will auto-populate. Now, if you plan to generate a student performance report from results, then do not click the Score Override and instead enter item responses. For example, if I uncheck Score Override, then the ability to enter item responses grid displays. Otherwise, we will click Score Override and enter the raw score. Click Save at top of the test administration screen. To close the new record, click the red X box to close the tab. A test record now displays for the student in the window at the right. Click Refresh if needed to display all test information, such as raw score and scaled score information. Now, to confirm the new test record from eTests, let's pop over. Launching your web browser and going to the main domain web address, coordinators and proctors sign in to access the management console. Enter user credentials, the same as when accessing TOPS Pro Enterprise. We could also add administrator here. I'll do that for demonstration, since my administrator is equipped with both coordinator and proctor certification. From the Application Management window, click Students. The Student Demographics Lister opens to display a list of students with activity in the current program year, the same as you saw in TOPS Pro Enterprise. Information displayed gives you quick access to the shared database with TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. To confirm the new test record, expand the filter at top of the list, and from the Student ID field, use the Student ID drop-down menu to select Contains. This is your best bet for locating students. Of course, you can also select these other options, such as starts with, ends with, or equal. I find my best results from Contains. We'll enter the yesterday's student ID and click the refresh button at far right. At left of the student demographics record displayed in the filtered list, click Tests. A test results list displays for the student confirming the recently added new record. Click the backlink and return to the student demographics list, and click the backlink again and return to the main menu. Another way to confirm the manually added test record from Application Management is from Test Results. The Test Results Lister opens to display a list of test records in the current program year. Again, information displayed is a view of records shared in the online database with TOPS Pro Enterprise. To confirm the new test record, expand the filter at top of the list, and from the Student ID field, use the test date drop-down calendar and select date ranges. So we'll go ahead and backdate this as an example. Use the Student ID drop-down menu, select Contains, enter the student ID, and then click Refresh at far right. Again, the test results lister now displays the manually added test record in the current program year. Are there any questions about manually adding test records to your online database before we move on? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to demonstrate importing test records through TOPS Pro Enterprise. This is the second method for adding test records. So we will return to Enterprise. There are two sources for importing information coming from an external source, from a third-party system, or populating an import template. There's only one way to import this information. From the Tools menu, click Third Party Import. The wizard opens to guide you through the importing process with information displayed on each screen. We'll click Next and Next again. TE allows several types of imported records to populate and update information in your online database. To import test records, select Test Records from a third-party system and click Next. The most common file type for importing records is a comma-separated values file, or CSV. Click Browse to locate the saved import file. Select the saved import file, one that was either exported from a third party or manually populated on an import template. So in this case, we will click Test Records 6050 Import. The file selected now displays in the file name field. Click Next. The wizard is now ready to process the import data from the specified file. Click Next. The message you want to see is that the import file was read successfully. This message would also indicate if any record failed import. Click Next. The next screen gives you the opportunity to correct any record that failed import. Highlighted records indicate errors. Click a highlighted record. Now, in this case, or in this instance, clicking these records, notice each record then turns white. So essentially, there are no errors, but if there were errors in any of these records, there would be a magenta color highlight with a corresponding error below the list of records down here. So clicking either one of them, notice that there are no errors. However, if there are errors listed, click Edit Records, apply any necessary updates to this data correction edit window, and save the record. Repeat for any record displayed that has an error. Click Next to import the records. The wizard will attempt to import records, so click Next again. And when you see the entire data set successfully imported, there we go, then go ahead and click Finish. Now, to verify imported test records, go to the Student Demographics list, and rather than double-click to open the demographics record in a separate tab to display child records, such as the one for May student, and clicking Test to see the test for May student, I would like to demonstrate a feature available in lists of records containing child records to enhance the screen and simultaneously display child records. So returning to the demographics list, which is a parent, lists the parent records. And of course, any of these records here are child records. So from the demographics lister, at far right, click More, select Miscellaneous, and click Child Lister. From the child lister at the left, click Tests. This splits the screen into a new horizontal page group. I'll go ahead and move this up. The top page displays the parent record, and the bottom page simultaneously displays the child record selected from the child lister at left. Notice May's test record displays in the bottom page. In the top page, or list of parent records, click the filter icon in the student ID column and enter an ID for an imported record. This is the ID for Sample Sam. Sample Sam's parent record or demographics record displays at the top, and the imported file for his test displays in the page below. We also imported one other student called Susie Student. Now there are possible options here. So since we have Susie Student highlighted, then the test that we imported automatically displays in the child or the child lister directly below. Again, to confirm imported test records using eTests, expand the filter, and we'll do this since we are in the test results. Expand the filter, and let's go ahead and backdate this to the beginning of the program year, current program year, which is July 2014. And let's enter Sample Sam's ID and refresh. Notice Sample Sam's test record automatically displays. Let's also confirm Susie Student. Now, since we selected contains, we might want to tidy that up and say equal. And now Susie Student's test record displays. Click the backlink from the Students menu. Expand the filter. Search for Sample Sam. Click Tests, and you see Sample Sam's test record. Again, you do likewise for Susie Student. Refresh the screen, and now you click Tests, and now you see Susie Student's test record displayed. So folks, I hope you are picking up that the test records display through the Students menu and test records displayed through test results display not only tests administered through CASAS eTest, but also any other test record or any test record in the shared database with TOPS Pro Enterprise, such as we demonstrated today for a manually added test record as well as imported test record. Are there any questions about importing test records? Okay, let's move on. We can provide you with fillable templates to help you populate your online database without using manual data entry or a third-party system, such as used for today's demonstration to import test records. The first sheet in the import template provides detailed steps to populate the import template, steps to save the populated template, steps to import the file, and where to confirm the successful import of records. The second sheet is the fillable template with examples. Now, one last demonstration for today's workshop is to also show you that whether test records are manually added, imported, or from eTests, the online system automatically sets the next assigned test. The online system is fully automated, so you are not tasked with having to determine what this next test is to administer to the student. To demonstrate, we will generate a next assigned test report for students whose tests we manually added as well as imported. From the Reports menu, CASAS eTest, select Next Assigned Test. The report generator opens to a split screen with the report navigator at the left and the report toolbar, setup toolbar along the top. We'll leave general settings as is. However, we will select the specific students, the student that we added. So I'll deselect all students here, alphabetize by name so that I can quickly scroll and pick the students here. So we have May student. So let me just scroll down here. Here we go. We have May student, as well as we have Sample Sam and Susie student. And let's generate this report. Here are the three students. We manually added the May student in yesterday's workshop, as well as added a test for the May student today. We imported test records for Sample Sam and Susie student, and Sample Sam and Susie student demographics records were imported yesterday. And that's a point to make, folks, that when adding test records or importing test records, a student demographics record must first exist, because that is the parent record to which the child record is attached by the unique ID. Here you see information about the last test, such as the date, the form, the level, raw, and scaled scores. Raw scores do not display for the imported results because we opted to use scale override. The intent of importing the test records was to quickly add information about these students' last tests for the sole purpose of preparing the online database for administering the next test to the student using CASAS eTest Online. The last two columns make up the next assigned test, the available test series, and the forms available within those test series. So depending on how your testing sessions are configured, will determine the test form presented to the student when the student tests next. Are there any questions about adding or importing test records before we wrap it up? Okay, we have about a minute left, so let me just remind everyone for good practices is when you are finished working in TE at far right, click Pages, and from the drop-down menu, select Close All Pages. From the TE icon at top left, select Lock if you plan to return and continue working. Otherwise, disconnect from the server and then exit the application. Do likewise with CASAS eTest. If you are finished working in CASAS eTests, click the back link to return to the application management screen, click Logout, and then to completely disconnect from the server, click your web browser back arrow, and this will disconnect you from the server. Now, folks, each workshop in a set of CASAS Online implementation basics builds on the last in a logical progression for helping you to get up and running with the online system. If you miss a workshop, we posted a playlist from past recordings so that you may preview a previously attended workshop or review a previously attended workshop or preview upcoming workshops. You may access them from Training and Support, eTest Online Help, and clicking the CASAS Online Implementations link, as well as access them from the Social Media Newsroom, CASAS YouTube channel. Now just one last note here, and let me paste this information if you'll draw your attention to the chat box. The information I just pasted in the chat box is about our technology support team. The support team is available to provide any technical assistance you may need to ensure successful implementation. This email address alerts a support team that includes several members. Communicating to the larger group will help us to ensure you receive a timely response. Team members are available 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time, Monday through Friday. We look forward to you joining us for the next workshop. Let's see here. Here we go. On merging records. Thank you for your time. And this concludes the workshop on how to add test records to your online database.